Maybe it's because Dwyane Wade is back playing in Miami and retirement is a big conversation down in that part of the country in general. Or maybe it's because he recently turned 36 in a league where the average age is a decade younger. I mean, a lot of the greats never played past 36. That's when Larry Bird tapped out, Bill Russell was 35, Tracy McGrady, who sits just 2 seats down from me over there, was 34. Whatever the reason, ever since Wade rejoined the Heat in February, there has been a constant buzz of retirement talk around him, with Dwyane himself saying once this season is over, he will indeed consider it for the first time ever. Even LeBron James addressed it after the Heat beat the Cavs last night, saying, he just lingered on that court a little extra for postgame, talking to, embracing his friend of 15 years. Take a listen.
Just been hearing the narrative. Since he came here, is that he's not quite sure what he's going to do next year. He's going to assess everything. You just don't take for granted. You just don't know. So, we'll see what happens in the summer.
I mean, that's all very nice and poetic, and well, there's just one little problem. Did you see what Dwyane did during the game? 12 points on 5 of 11 shooting, 4 assists, 2 rebounds in just 17 minutes of play. Oh, and he had 4 blocks. 4. You know where I'm going with this because 2 of them were on LeBron.
Swat. There
was this second quarter one. And nope, swat that ball into the stands. You're absolutely right, Brian. And then again in the fourth with the Heat up by 18.
And a little look down
Garbage
there, too.
time? Nope. Absolutely. I'll just take that right here. Thank you. Look, the fact that he's still got the athleticism at 6'4" to do this on the regular says something. In fact, the blocks are a good argument for Wade not to retire at all. I mean, right now he's number 2 on the all-time list, and guess who's at number 1? Definitely within striking distance. Yeah, that guy Dwyane idolized growing up in Chicago, Michael Jordan. Of course, you don't just stay playing just for records. There's the matter of this Heat team, too. Wade is not a museum piece who just sits on the end of the bench and claps his hands. Miami actually needs him on the court. And given the Heat's roster will largely be the same next season, I'd argue Miami will need him again, even after Dwyane Wade comes back. And here's the other thing, what I think some players don't fully realize until it is too late. This isn't like retiring from anything else. Being a basketball player, it's not just a job. It is an identity, the core of how most guys have thought of themselves since elementary school. And being a pro athlete has a structure to it that doesn't just take place from 9 to 5 like a lot of other jobs. It affects everything about your life, what city you wake up in the morning, to what kind of food you put in your mouth, to who your friends are. You walk away from the game, you walk away from all of that at once, and once it is gone, it is gone. Now, I understand that sometimes a player's body just won't let them continue or his skill level drops way too much. But Dwyane doesn't seem to be in either of those categories. So maybe let's just put the brakes on the retirement talk, shall we? There will definitely be time for that for Wade. This just isn't it. Do you agree with me there, Tracy?
Listen, typically when we retire from this game, it's mentally we eject it from the game. We don't look forward to going to practice. We don't look forward to going to games anymore. The love is just lost. We don't have anything.
You were done when you were done.
I was done. I was mentally just not engaged and wasn't looking forward to none of it. With Dwyane, I mean, he still has some left in the tank. It's not a case can he play anymore. It's just can his body hold up for another season? And does he want to go through another offseason of training, getting his body in shape for another rigorous season? I don't look forward to him playing 82-game season, maybe 65 to 70 games, be there for his team if they're in the playoff hunt. If he can do that and he's still looking forward to waking up and going to practice and playing in games, why not?
Rachel, you and I were there a lot in 2013-14 when Dwyane had to miss almost 30 games or about 30 games because his knee was so bad. I never would have thought he'd have been playing at this level at all in 2018 or anything. So the fact he's been able to get through those injuries and continue to be a relevant player, I congratulate him. I agree with you as well that he should continue playing. A couple of things here, though. Number one, Dwyane only wants to play in Miami.
Right.
And they don't have the mechanism to give him a commensurate contract. So he'd have to be willing to play on less money. The other thing that's interesting here, I have to speak up for the Dwyane Wade fans out there because the Heat have invested in Dwyane Wade and they've invested in Josh Richardson as their guys at that position heavily. I'd like to point out both almost $100 million in those two guys combined. And do you really want a 36, 37-year-old coming in taking minutes of those guys to grow? So the Heat, in addition to Dwyane having a decision here, the Heat have a decision to make. For me, because I could only pay Dwyane a little bit of money anyway, and what he would bring to me, he'd be one of the best bargains in the league next year. I would definitely do it. But there are some other chemistry issues to consider.
Especially considering what already happened between the Heat and Wade and kind of how each actor was in that situation. I cannot see Pat Riley and the Miami Heat saying, no, we don't want you, and having that be
And I'm
enforced
sure D.
again.
Wade is willing to take a pay cut to stay right there.
He can't take a pay cut. He's already at the minimum, Trace.
Well, but to keep playing, he's got buyout money from Chicago this year, which is why that minimum is a little bit. He would take an overall pay
You're
cut
right. Very true.
to play there, and you know, look, these contracts in Miami is better at them than anyone. Yes, maybe he's taking less money for this specific calendar year of season, but then maybe like Udonis Haslem, he's collecting money for a couple years later to be a de facto coach. I don't know, whenever he does decide he doesn't
let's
wanna
not
play
even
anymore.
talk about like chemistry issues with, you know, Richardson and Dwyane Wade next year. Let's just talk about what he brings to this team. If you see, if you recognize the energy that's in the arena from last night, I mean, this is what D. Wade does. I mean, it's good to see him back in his uniform and what he provides for this overall community, not just the team, the community.
That is a
Right
great
about that.
point. Absolutely. And we've seen that, look, over this past weekend, was like a leader, not just certainly in the South Florida community, but then overall nationally. Again, it's a
Absolutely.
big deal.